Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. My name is Tim Harris. I'm the pastor at Woodburn Baptist Church, and it's time for 10 with Tim. Each day, Monday through Friday, we go verse by verse through the Word of God, and today we're in Genesis chapter 40, verses 1 to 23. So I'm glad that you're with me. Thank you so very much for staying in the Word with me. Genesis chapter 40, this is interesting. Joseph is now in prison, and this is the episode where he interprets the dreams for the cupbearer and baker of Pharaoh. Y'all know how I am. I'm not really good with the math part of things, but I'm always kind of interested in how much time goes by. So my question coming into today was, how much time has gone by? How much time did Joseph spend in Potiphar's house? How much time now, has he been in prison? How long does all this take? Because I just wonder. I have a feeling that perhaps more time or less time, I don't know. But in our chapter tomorrow, chapter 41, there are several clues which help us understand how old Joseph would be in chapter 40. For example, in chapter 41, I think it's verse 46, we're told that Joseph is going to be 30 years old when he gets sent to the court of Pharaoh, when he finally ascends to be Pharaoh's right-hand man. At the beginning of chapter 41, tomorrow, we'll read the very first verse. It says, 2 years later. So if he goes to Pharaoh at 30, and then chapter 41 begins 2 years later after the end of chapter 40, then that tells us that right now he's about 28 years old. Interesting? It is to me. So in chapter 40, what we're reading today, Joseph in prison with the cupbearer and the baker, he's about 28, which means if he was 17 when he was sold to Potiphar, about 11 years have gone by. That's just a long time. I mean, it really is, especially when you're young. It's a long time. So Joseph has been in prison all this time. Sometime later, it just says, after he's thrown into the prison, Pharaoh's chief cupbearer and baker are thrown into the prison as well. Now, these are not going to be your typical inmates. There is a possibility, of course, that these men would be released, and then they'll go right back to their very prominent positions in Pharaoh's court. And so for that reason, there's the implication that they get special treatment even in the prison. And so Joseph, who's very high up on the chain, he's still in jail, he's still in the prison, but he's high up there. He has the trust of the warden, right? And so Joseph is given the very important job of kind of being the attendant, the servant. He's ministering to, so to speak, the chief baker and the cupbearer. And so that's where the story begins there. One morning at breakfast, man, these dudes are frowning. They're upset, man. They had bad nights. And Joseph said, what's going on? And it turns out both of these men had dreams that are very disturbing, but yet they don't understand them. Now remember, in ancient Egypt, dream interpretation was considered a science. People took classes, and there were advisors, who would be there to interpret, to decipher a dream. And so in this case, both of these men are probably used to being in Pharaoh's court where there would be, someone there who could interpret a dream. But now in the prison, they are perplexed because they've had these disturbing dreams and there's no available interpretation. I love what Joseph says. Now, first, let me say this. As I said, it's been 11 years, of Joseph in prison. And so part of me just wonders, does he still believe in dreams? I mean, remember when he was coming across the field and his brother said, "Here comes the dream lord. Here comes the dream master." I mean, Joseph, when he was younger, man, he had dreams. He had dreams, and he'd tell anybody about his dreams, about how, he was going to ascend and everybody's going to bow down to him. And I just wonder, to what degree, how do you hang on to faith in dreams when your dreams told you were going to ascend, but you've done nothing but descend, The dreams didn't say anything about how that Joseph would actually ascend, but he would actually ascend. He would move up by moving down. It doesn't say that he would reach that position of power by assuming a subservient position of humility, but that's exactly what happens, and that's what's happening. And the amazing thing about Joseph is how he, even in the prison, even in the pit, he just continues to have this unshakable faith and integrity. I tell you, like we've been saying, I didn't care much for him until he got thrown in that pit. But after that, man, he is a different kind of young man. So Joseph says, well, I'll tell you one thing, the interpretation belongs to God alone. Again, it's amazing because he's in Egypt and he's been in Egypt and all the Egyptians believe in this pantheon of gods, but, Joseph's still a good Jewish monotheist. There's one God and, interpreting dreams, belongs to one God. It's his business, but go ahead and tell me. Which is amazing. Joseph at the same time says, only God can reveal this, but you go ahead and tell me. The implication is he will show me and I will reveal it to you. It's just this amazing confidence that he has before God. So he manages to show where the power comes from, but also, indicate that, I believe I can help you. God will work through me. And so, who is it? The cupbearer goes first. He had this dream, this weird dream about vines and, fruit, because he's a cupbearer, right? So his dream is sort of related to the vine, or to the fruit, that sort of thing. Joseph interprets it. Honestly, when I look at it, I almost feel like I can interpret it. In some ways, the interpretation kind of seems not that hidden. But at any rate, this is what that dream means. It's all good. 3 days, you are out of here, back in your position. It's so good. But notice what Joseph says. He says, now when you're back, remember the cupbearer is right-hand man to Pharaoh, most trusted advisor, member of the court. Joseph says, you're about to be at Pharaoh's elbow again. Would you remember me? Would you do me a favor? Would you mention me to him? At any rate, the baker says, hey, do me. Because the baker just heard this amazing interpretation of the dream that the cupbearer had. So the baker's like, hey, do me. And Joseph, it's not funny. So it's like, oh, dude, man, your dream, it ain't good. He had a dream about, baskets and bread on his head and all of that. And the birds come down and peck. And Joseph says, the phrase he used with the cupbearer is Pharaoh's going to lift your head. But with the baker, he says he's going to lift your head right off of your body. Literally in the Hebrew, that's what he says. He's going to lift your head off your body. He's going to decapitate you and then impale your body on a stick. That's the worst. That's the worst interpretation possible. At any rate, both of those dreams come to pass exactly as Joseph has said. It happens exactly as he said. And within 3 days' time, Pharaoh's birthday party comes. He brings these 2 men out of jail. The cupbearer is restored. The baker is executed. But the passage ends. It's just the lowest point. The cupbearer did not remember Joseph. He did not remember Joseph. One thing, a little thing I like in the verse where Joseph says, I'm here in this prison. What's that, verse 15? I'm here in this prison. I don't even deserve it. The word he uses is pit. I'm here in this pit. It's just that idea that, man, he just goes from one pit to another, just deeper and deeper. And you just wonder, the cupbearer has forgotten him, but I guess the real question is, has God? What's going to become of his dreams, right? Wasn't that the question that the brothers asked when they first sold him, into slavery? Let's get rid of him and see what happens to his dreams. What's happening with Joseph's dreams? I just remind you, even in the time of trial, this passage reminds us that you just trust the Lord. Joseph trusts the Lord. It's just a shocking lack of bitterness. He knows he doesn't deserve it, but he doesn't lash out at Potiphar's wife or his brothers. It's just this amazing humility and open-heartedness and grace toward everybody else. Even in trials, he trusts. But because understand, Other people will forget you. They will ignore you in ways that will hurt you. They will disappoint you. They will not come through for you, but God will never forget you. God will always remember you. He will never disappoint you. He will always come through for you. You may have to wait, but you will never be forgotten or forsaken by God. That's the lesson from Genesis chapter 40. Tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll pick up right there at chapter 41, verses 1 to 36. Tomorrow, good things happen. Genesis chapter 41, verses 1 to 36. It's Monday. It's my day off. I trust that it is a blessed day for you. Stay in the Word, read ahead, and I will see you in the morning, Lord willing, 10 o'clock for 10 with Tim. I love you guys. Have a good Monday.